message from the prophet.
Stop Kony 2012.
That's not, it's 2025. You're way off.
Whatever. If you're a millennial, this was a core memory for you in your high school, college age years where this mega viral event happened in 2012.
Yes.
This 30-minute video goes crazy viral, and we're all going to try to stop this guy in Uganda who is assembling a children's army.
Yeah.
But as it turns out, there was some problems with the film, and there was problems with the filmmaker that derailed the entire movement.
Yep.
In a matter of weeks.
Yeah. And it derailed in a pretty big way.
Spectacular way. So we cover what actually happened with Kony 2012 and where it stands today.
Yeah. It involves the Lorax.
Yeah. So you get it. This is Things I Learned Last Night. It's a comedy podcast, so we're going to cover the topic, and then also we joke around and laugh a lot along the way. This whole show, we learn useless information, and we joke around. And so if you like this episode and you want more of it, we got 200-something other episodes you can check out. We appreciate you for being here. Let's jump into the episode.
Hey, man.
What's up?
Have you ever heard of Kony 2012?
Yes. Yes. For our young listeners, you're in for a treat.
Do you know this story?
I only remember small parts of what we lived through.
I remember Kony 2012 being a meme. Like, I remember people being like, Kony 2012, and like saying it everywhere and like wearing the shirts and stuff like that. But I'm going to be honest.
Like as a joke?
Not as a joke, but just like I just remember it being everywhere.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
everywhere.
Because it didn't start as a meme.
I know. Yeah.
Yeah. But I didn't know what it was.
Yeah, I don't remember ever finding out what it was about.
Oh, I remember watching the original video.
Oh, really?
Yes.
I never saw the video.
I remember real clearly a friend. It was when my parents were building their house, and so we were in that crappy rental, and so we didn't have a computer room. It was like just in the side of our living room, and I remember sitting there for the full how long was it? 27 minutes. Yeah. 30-minute video.
Yeah.
That we watched at the computer.
Yeah. I remember knowing who Kony was.
Yeah.
And I remember people were like, yeah, we got to take him down.
Right.
And I remember the Kony 2012 thing being everywhere, but I never saw the video. I didn't know.
You never watched
I didn't know what Kony did.
Did you watch the video this week?
Why? Yeah. Or why
That's
Kony had to go
you
down.
had half an hour to watch that video, but yet you don't have any time to research the topics that I give you.
This is a topic you gave me. This literally is a topic you gave me.
This is not a topic I gave you.
You literally texted me this week and you said Kony 2012.
What? How are you going to prove that? You going to prove that?
Yes, I'll pull my phone out. Let me pull my phone out.
Prove that I texted that to you.
I'm doing it right now.
I don't think that this is real. I didn't suggest this.
You did.
I said, tell me the origin of the Sonic Kony hot dog. And somehow you ended up here at Kony 2012?
Gosh, we have way too many texts in this thread.
Yeah.
Hold on. I'm
I'll see if I can find it real quick. Hold on. I don't know. I'm trying to find.
I can't find it.
I can't find it either.
Shut up.
So, I don't know.
I swear I know this was something that you said we should do. I swear. Oh my gosh.
Was it on TikTok or?
Did you already check Instagram?
No, I didn't check Instagram. Why don't you look at Instagram real quick?
You turned on vanish mode, you freaking monster. How do I turn that off? Can I not turn that off? Am I not able?
I don't know. What are you talking about?
If you turn on vanish mode, can I not turn vanish mode off?
I didn't do anything.
Oh my gosh. Hold on, I'll fix this.
Hold on, I'm trying to.
There we go. That's
trying
better.
to unsend a message real quick.
All right, go back to Instagram.
I really don't think I sent this to you, dude.
I'm trying to unsend a message real quick.
What the crap, bro? Why is it like that?
I don't know. It's pretty funny.
Why does Vanish Mode have Mariah Carey?
Oh, no, I added that.
You changed the theme.
It said, hey, do you want to get festive? That's what it said.
Well,
okay, you deleted it. You 100% deleted it. I know for a fact you recommended this. All right, this is a stupid thing. We're spending too much time on this. We have too much to cover.
Oh man.
You said Kony 2012. I know for a fact you said Kony 2012. I'm not going to have you gaslight me like this. This was one of your recommendations. It's the only reason I did this. Okay.
I can't find it, to be honest. Like this started as me gaslighting.
I can't find it either,
went
but
to
I'm pretty confident you deleted
maybe
this.
I didn't send this.
I know you did. I know you did. Maybe you said it on a phone conversation. Maybe you said it in person in a conversation, like on the phone or something. Maybe it wasn't in a message.
Huh.
We do talk to each other a lot, so it might have been in a conversation.
Some might say we're codependent.
Some might say that, yeah. So, Kony.
Yeah.
Kony is the last name of a man named Joseph Kony. He was the leader, or I guess is the leader, of the Lord's Resistance Army, the LRA. This is his
official logo
that he made with colored pencil.
Yep.
Honestly, for a colored pencil logo, not bad.
Sure.
But this is him. This is Joseph Kony.
Yes.
We've all seen him.
We haven't, because I brought this up to a couple younger people and they had no idea what this is.
Are you serious?
Yes.
I mean, I guess I didn't know the story either. Like I knew of
no,
Kony,
but I'm saying like
we
we were seniors in high school the year this happened.
Yes. Yeah.
And so the people younger than us, a lot of our fans who are early 20s, were literally 8 years old.
Yes. Yes.
And so they have no idea what this is.
So this organization, the Lord's Resistance Army, was founded in 1987.
Right.
And Joseph Kony founded it as like a rebellion against then Ugandan president Yoweri Museveni. Sure. We'll just call him Museveni because that's his last name. And so Museveni was like kind of a dictator, and Kony was rebelling against him. There was a lot of different rebel groups that were rebelling against him. Joseph came from a separate religious, I guess you could say, rebel group. He was brought up in that, and that was led by, they had a single woman who was the figurehead of that organization, and she claimed to be possessed by God. And so she had some very strange war tactics.
So he grew up in a cult, essentially.
Yeah. And so he was brought up in all that. And so when he started he brought over some of that stuff into his LRA.
Hey, what year was he born? Do you know?
He would have been born, hold on, let me look, 1961.
Okay, so he's 26 when this is happening?
Yes.
Okay.
And so he starts his organization, and in his organization, he takes some of that same stuff over to his organization. His goal is to create a new Uganda that is ruled by the 10 Commandments. That is his plan. And he says he is inhabited by 3 spirits, and those 3 spirits had 3 distinct personalities, and they would speak through him all the time. And when they would speak through them, he would change his voice to sound like the spirit that was speaking through him. So there's one where one of them was a female, and so he would raise his voice really high and be like, "I have a message from the prophet," or something. I don't know what all the spirits' names were. But
can you just clip that? Can you just clip him being like, "I have a message from the prophet," and just put that at the beginning of the episode with zero context? Before the intro. Maybe right after the intro, as the transition.
So, so Kony's doing weird, like, it's a cult. It's definitely a cult. And the people who follow him.
He's got another one that's just like a big old Southern car salesman kind of guy. You know? Oh, I have a message from the prophet. Yeah, and I'm down here to tell you that this Ugandan government's trying to take,
I could put you in a new sedan this night,
we gotta get in that RAV4.
And so there's an interview from the 90s.
Son, you joining the Lord's Resistance Army. Are you built Ford tough?
Are you built Lord tough?
Are you built Lord? Oh, that's... Built Lord Tough.
That's incredible. We could sell that in any Christian bookstore.
Caruso official. Built Lord Tough.
So there's an interview from, I believe, the 90s or early 2000s with one of his soldiers, and they're asking him about Kony. And they say, so is he God? And he's like, no, he's not God, but he's got 3 spirits living within him. And they're like, oh, so can he die? And they were like, no, he can't die.
Only one of the spirits can die. and then the other 2 will grieve it. Oh, shucks.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
Oh, shoot, darn.
Oh, no, he killed him.
I love that one of his inner voices sounds like the puppet from Mr. Rogers, the king.
I haven't seen The King.
You haven't seen the king?
No, I haven't seen The King.
Did you watch Mr. Rogers growing up? That's why you can't have an intimate, vulnerable relationship with people around you.
Yeah, that's my parents said you can't watch it. They're like, that'll make you soft.
That'll make I was only allowed to watch Fear Factor. And 1,000 Ways to Die.
We gotta make sure this kid's scared.
Yeah. This kid's only allowed to watch Spike TV.
And so they asked him if he could die, and they said, no, he can't die. And the guy interviewing him says, so if I walked over and I shot him right now, the guy was like, he wouldn't die. No, he wouldn't die.
Okay. Okay.
And so they believed he was like this immortal prophet that was coming to save them and deliver them from the tyrannical government.
This is in the 90s.
Yeah, this started in 87. And so they are an actual rebel group through this era. And there's no ways to mince words around it. He was a terrible, terrible
leader
of this group. There's a long list of crimes that he committed. Lots of violence, lots of murder, lots of death. Probably the most brutal thing that he was known for is he would kidnap kids in the middle of the night, and then he would make them kill their parents, so that way he was their only source of life. And so he would take them, conscript them into his army. If they were male, if they were women,
then make them go back and kill their parents.
Yeah, make them kill their parents, so that way they would rely on them. And then if there was ever any issues, he would always have, these are kids, he would turn them against each other. And so if one of the kids became a problem, he'd make the kids kill the other kids. And so a very violent, very, very evil, very bad person.
Yeah.
And
if it was a female, what happened?
Oh, I mean, he took them into slavery.
Gotcha.
And so his regime was a terrible regime and caused a lot of damage to a lot of people.
How big is it?
His army?
Yeah.
I don't know how big it was in its height. Let's see. This says as of 2006, there was 42 children in his army. I don't know.
That's what I'm saying. It's not
over the course of the years, 66,000 children became soldiers.
Okay, that's what I was saying.
That was
2006. That was from 42.
That was from 87 to 2009.
Okay.
Yeah. So in 2006, it clearly was not at probably the height of its operation.
You know what was like
Yeah. So yeah, it's gone up and down over the years.
Sure.
Then we need to enter in another important person into this story, a guy by the name of Jason Russell. Here he is. Jason Russell.
Yes.
Jason Russell is a guy who has been through every version of celebrity pastor.
That first picture is what I recognize him as. Oh. Did he go to Homesteader here at the end?
It's incredible. It genuinely is incredible. Every celebrity pastor style, like sense of style, he's had all of them. I don't know how he pulled. I mean, he's clearly got his inspiration from one place to be this group. But he was an aspiring filmmaker.
Okay.
He lived in San Diego, went to film school, graduated film school in the early 2000s, and him and his friends were looking for an opportunity to shoot a documentary. Here they are. Here's their little crew of filmmakers.
Yeah.
And so they said, okay, we want to make a documentary. What are we going to make a documentary about? We got to make a story. And so they start traveling. They start doing missions work globally in an attempt to find a story to make a documentary about. So they end up in Uganda, and they hear about this story. They meet a kid who was taken into the Lord's Resistance Army, and the kid tells Jason his story. Him and his brother were taken into the army. They were forced to kill their parents. His brother was actually killed in front of him by the army because his brother tried to escape, and told him this whole story. Terrible story, and that changed Jason's life. Jason
there's a video of Jason saying if this happened in America, it'd be on the cover of Newsweek. Like this would be this could never happen in the United States. But because it's happening here, no one knows about it. And so he commits his life to like solving this problem.
Sure.
And so he starts an organization called Invisible Children and it's named that because he felt like all these kids were invisible to the West. Like they had no idea the struggle that they were going through. And so they start making documentaries. So they released a documentary kind of chronicling everything that they've seen, that they saw on that trip. There's some questionable moments in that documentary.
Yeah.
But
he's holding a bazooka, right?
Yeah. Well, what's rough about this moment is the LRA. They visited an LRA camp and they were like, "You guys want to hold the guns?"
I'm like, "You guys want to take a picture with us?"
They were like, "Yeah, that'd be sick."
This would be like if you were doing a expose on the police, and then they were like, "You don't hold the gun. You want to turn the sirens on?"
Honestly, I've always wanted to do that.
You're like, "Oh, that's a I love this. Let's pull someone. Let's tase them.
Let's tase them."
And you get lost in the
Yeah. And so this organization, really what they did is they started a nonprofit, and the nonprofit was for awareness. Okay. They weren't going to go do humanitarian aid. They weren't going to do anything because they felt like we can't stop Kony. Like the United States military has to stop Kony. And so they went back and they petitioned.
We can't stop him. I mean, now we're friends.
It'd be awkward.
It'd be weird to be like, hey, thanks for letting us take pictures of the guns.
Also, you should stop doing that.
Chill if you quit.
It'd be pretty cool if you stopped doing that. And
so Shizzle is 2006.
Yeah. They actually went to Washington. And
what year are they doing all this?
This is early 2000, like 2005, 2006. Yeah. They're meeting with...
Faux Shizzle, for real.
They're meeting with congressmen and women in Washington and talking.
Very progressive of you, but the congresswoman did not exist in 2006.
Fair.
So
they're meeting with them and they're telling them this story, and
they're meeting with Condoleezza Rice,
and they're all shooting them down. They're like, look, the military is not going to get involved in something that does not have anything to do with any of our political or financial interests as a nation. Like, it's just not going to happen.
Yeah, we're not. And that is like a tough thing about, it's like we're not the world's hall monitors,
And so they I don't know if they got this from someone in the government or a lawyer or counselor, if they just thought this.
Yeah, someone was like, if you get enough people to call.
Pretty much. They're like, if you make this a big enough deal for the American people, then maybe we'll respond and do something about it. So they started an awareness campaign. And so they kept going back and kept filming these documentaries to bring awareness. And they would travel to schools and do assemblies and tell the stories to the schools and collect donations so they could keep going back and making more documentaries. And the end goal was, we get enough people to know about this, then the government takes action. And so this culminated, I shouldn't say culminated, the first spike for them was 2008. 2008, they put out a documentary. And in this documentary, it opens, they're in a gym, a high school gym, and they had just finished, the set was they just finished one of their assemblies telling the story. And a kid raises his hand. He's like, this is all good, Jason, but like, what are you going to do about this? How are you going to stop a war? And the three of them turn around and they...
This is all good, Jason, but how do you think a person like yourself, a strong, independent, entrepreneurial man who's handsome and stylish, up with the current trends, is this necessary?
Do I have to say all this?
How are you going to stop this?
And he's like, keep. Oh, sorry.
And your mom. It was 2006.
It's the kid knowing. The kid looks at him like, what the heck, dude?
The kid's like,
are you serious?
You just did this to me?
Your mom joke in the middle of this? You cut that out.
What the heck, man?
So the three of them, him and his filmmaker friends, in this video,
I hope this wins the Kid's Choice Award. Speaking of kids, dude, I look like Mr. Rachel today. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you've worn this hoodie for a lot of episodes.
I know.
lately.
Here's the thing. I'm still on the road. That sucks,
Yeah,
dude.
yeah, that's true.
Remember last time we shot an episode?
Yeah.
And you went home that night?
Yeah.
Imagine me not doing that. I haven't been home in a week.
Imagine me not doing that.
Yeah.
That's why you're so edgy.
That's why I'm so mad, dude. I'm literally in my own bed 8 times this month.
Well, this is a good episode for that then. There's a warning at the end of this
I'm out
episode
here
for you then.
traveling. About my own bed? There's a warning at the end of this?
Not about your own bed, but about your schedule.
I do. Okay. So the documentary opens on a school. Are we talking about the 30-minute thing that came out?
No.
Okay, we're talking about
this is in
different
2008. This is in 2008.
There's a video. It opens. They're doing a school assembly. A kid goes, "That's all great, but how do you plan on stopping this?" And they all three turn around and look at the camera.
Yeah.
And they all go, "Great question."
Yeah, the one of the guys says to them, he's like, that's actually a really good point. Like, how are we going to stop the war? And Jason, the guy we saw,
turns around and goes, "Only you can prevent child war."
No, better. He says same thing we always do, dance, and it's basically High School Musical. They do a dance number with a song that they wrote.
Wait.
And it's High School Musical.
I didn't know about this.
And like this lyric, we're on a mission to put Uganda deep inside your mind. And so the idea was it's going to be such
the tune?
It's very High School Musical. So it's like
on a mission.
not that High School Musical, but like
we're on a mission to put Uganda deep inside your mind.
it's close to that. It's close to that.
Do they do the overhead claps?
They have a full dance number. Like this is like highly produced. In fact, this is very
This was
fun
their first
trivia.
attempt at a viral video.
This wasn't their first attempt. This was like their 5th video.
This is one of their attempts at a viral video, and
Yes.
it didn't go viral.
It went semi-viral. Nothing to what is going to happen later, but it did.
Right.
It did pop off. Hey, if you've been watching for a minute and you like this show, a great way to help out is by becoming a Patreon supporter. Our patrons get a ton of perks for their support. They get ad-free episodes a week early. They get a Discord with our hosts and producers. We do monthly hangouts. There's a way to get birthday messages on your birthday. There's a lot of great perks, but more than anything, you just help make sure that this show continues to happen forever. We never want to stop. We're going to keep doing this forever. If we have enough patron supporters, we can put our brains in those little vats and like have AI pretend it's us. And so like we can keep doing it long after we die. But that only happens if you support us on Patreon. So we appreciate your support. Thanks for your help. If you don't want to support, that's totally fine. Thanks for being here. We really appreciate you watching this show.
I guess I should probably go study the 2012 video and be like, why did this hit so hard?
Oh, it's clear. It's
Okay.
clear. But the director of this video, this is my favorite part of this whole story, is a
J.J.
college
Abrams.
friend. Is a college friend of his. They went to school with this guy. I don't know if you know the name. John M. Chu. I don't know if you know that name. He's directed.
Shut up. The Wicked director?
Yes. And also Step Up 2, Step Up 3D.
Into the Heights.
Crazy Rich Asians. Like, same guy directed that. And so those screenshots are pretty rough, but like it's actually like a really well produced. The song is incredibly catchy.
Yeah, same thing we always do. Dance. And then it's them on a treadmills, like 5 different treadmills. And they're just like,
But yeah, Jason is like close friends with John Chu. He actually officiated his wedding, which is
Yeah.
wild. But
well, that makes me look different on people.
yeah, he directed that film. And so that film, here's the thing we got to recognize. A little weird when you figure what they're trying to bring awareness to, but also this is 2008. This is the height of High School Musical. Musicals were kind of in a moment for a second there, especially high school style musicals.
Yeah, this was also Flash Mob era.
Yes. So like this was...
It was a good strategy.
Yeah, and it worked pretty well. Like it brought a lot of awareness. It brought some
We
celebrities.
make fun of that stuff now, but that is what like worked online at that time.
Yeah. It's kind of like that conversation we had where I was making fun of Alien in the Patreon hangout. And who said it? Was it Chunk Light?
Yeah.
Said, oh, you think it's cheesy, but at the time it wasn't cheesy. Like that's how everything that's cheesy works. Like you think it's cheesy looking back, but at the time,
you know what's cheesy? I'll tell you what's always been cheesy and always will be, referring to people by their Discord usernames. I watched part of the video of freaking there's a YouTuber who goes by CoffeeZilla.
Yeah.
And he did the whole takedown of the Haktua coin, and they're in the Twitter space, and they're talking to each other about like, you know, hey, you might have just scammed millions of dollars from these investors. Like, what do you have to say for yourself? And they're referring to each other by their freaking usernames when they're talking about millions of dollars on a scam.
Well, they want to dox each other.
Well, Doc Neighbor. Well, and I'm like, what is... How did we
branding.
get here?
It's branding.
It's so stupid.
It's also you don't want to dox them, and especially for like Twitch streamers. Like,
what do you mean dox them?
Twitch streamers, they people are calling the SWAT team on them. Like they've got to be careful with their real identities and stuff like that.
Yeah. That's why I haven't gone by my real name for years.
It's a thing. It's a thing that they're really careful about it. They're really careful. Have you seen that video of Kai? Where the guy, who was it? It was the guy that does that game where you get the picture and you have to try to guess where it is. GeoGuessr, GeoGuessr guy. They had him on stream, but he was like on the phone.
Yeah.
And they were like, see if you can guess where we are. And all he had was the studio they were in, and he figured it out. He started saying the coordinates to him, and Kai took the phone and just threw it across, like smashed it against the wall.
I don't know who Kai is.
Kai Sanat or Senate Sanat.
No
you don't know who that is? He's like one of the biggest streamers right now.
Yeah, but that's also fake.
You think so?
Yes, because I've actually been talking to my wife about how we can make her.
Right. That probably is a bit.
Yes.
Yeah.
The stuff we could do to make my wife go viral as a Twitch streamer is, I mean,
I guess that would make more sense that was a bit. I never even thought about that. Because, they had
You didn't even think about that?
Well, no, I have thought about that.
You didn't think about that? Who's a little... He had
Mr. Beast on.
You're a little Google goblin, aren't you?
Mr. Beast
Google goblin.
caught his studio on fire. His little room he streams from on fire.
Got by the internet.
They just built
the set and catch it on fire.
And caught it on fire. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I knew that. I immediately knew that. But with the phone smash thing, I was like, for some reason, I was just like, oh yeah, that's real. Because it was smaller. It was smaller.
Come on.
Interesting. Yeah, that's a good point.
You got.
Yeah, I got.
So,
anyways,
but here's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to put Uganda in your mind.
Yeah, and so this was a decent success. Like,
a
handful of celebrities found out about it.
Sure,
they started like promoting it. They got a decent influx of donors.
Yeah.
And there was more awareness, but it wasn't like
donating to do what though? To spread the word?
Yeah, that's the idea. The idea is enough people are going to find out about this that the government's going to take action
for you to be louder about this.
Okay. Well, in 2008, Barack Obama finds out about this, and Obama grants it. And so he says, we're going to send 100 military advisors. They're going to train the Ugandan military and give them tactics and plans and tell them what to do. They're not going to fight themselves, but they're going to basically be life coaches for the Ugandan military.
We're going to send some war coaches over.
So they sent the military over. And spoiler alert, it was kind of a disaster.
Yeah.
The military coached them. The Ugandan military went out to try to track them down. Never managed to track them down, but a lot of civilians got caught in the crossfire.
But a lot of those Ugandan military people came back and they were just like, I think we got caught in a time slip. We saw a small town that smelled like rotten pigs. We heard the bell tower. Bong,
there was a bell
bong,
toll.
Bong.
It just stopped tolling.
It was so weird.
Yeah. Speaking of weird things that you've seen.
And now it's 2012?
Speaking of weird things that you've seen, what do you think about these New Jersey drones?
The what?
Have you heard of this?
No.
I can't believe you haven't heard of this. Alex, have you heard of this? Do you guys just live under rocks or something?
No, I've heard of Jersey Mike's.
These New Jersey drones right now in New Jersey, in one of the suburbs of Philadelphia, so that end of New Jersey.
Yeah.
There has been, for about 2 weeks now, every single night, about 1,000 sightings of these drones that they say are like car-sized drones. And what they're doing is they are like strafing. So they're going over and they're stopping, and then they're going back, and then they're going over, and it's almost like they're like scanning or mapping something. They're about the size of a small car, is what everyone says. Thousands of these reports are coming in every single night for the last like 2 weeks.
Any videos?
We do have videos of them. They have like the flashing indicator lights. They're not like the 4 rotocopter drones. They look almost more like little airplanes. And they're strafing back and forth. The governor has been kind of raging about it because the government, like the federal government, hasn't been taking much like attention to this.
What?
So the White House addressed it yesterday, and the White House is like, "Hey, we don't know what these are. They're not ours, and they're not any of our adversaries. We don't know where they're coming from, but we don't think that they pose a threat to the public." I can't believe you haven't heard of this. Yeah, have you not? I genuinely can't believe you haven't heard of this. A lot of people think they're aliens, obviously. A congressman yesterday, I'm excited to tell you this. Are you paying attention to me? I'm really excited. A congressman yesterday... A congressman yesterday said that it's Iran. Iran built a mothership, and they have it out over the Atlantic Ocean, and they're leaking these out every night. They're coming out of the mothership, and he's like, it's Iran. The White House was asked in their press briefing, and they're like, yeah, he has no idea what he's talking about. That's what they said. They're like, it's not Iran. They literally were like, Iran is not even close to being able to do something like that.
Yeah.
They're like, it's definitely not Iran.
Not after what we did to them.
But yeah, we have no idea what they are. A lot of people are saying they're aliens. There's a lot of the videos that you see that are kind of bogus. A lot of the videos you see of people who say they seeing them are like seeing planes that are like flying really high.
Right.
But they're legitimate. There legitimately are at least some of these that are genuine and being spotted, and they're just like hovering over, and they're hovering pretty low.
That's
and
crazy.
No one knows what they are.
Yeah.
It's very strange. It just feels a lot like the balloon a couple years ago.
Try that in the Midwest.
Well, that's one of the things that people have been saying.
People are like, no, they're doing it over New Jersey.
Shot down somewhere.
Yeah, try it in Montana. See what happens.
Yeah, they'd shoot at him. Well, there are alleged, and I don't know if these are legit, but I have seen videos of like F-16s like chasing them, and there is one video where it's in the distance. It's hard to say whether or not it's legitimate or not. But it's in the distance. There's the 2 F-16s. There's the drone, and there is an explosion in the air. And so I don't know if they've actually shot one of these down, if that was legitimate or not. The government hasn't announced that they've done that, but
that's crazy.
It's
By
been
the
going on for
time
like
this
2
comes
weeks.
out, you'll know.
We know what it was.
The
We
boy
know
was
it.
in the attic the whole time.
We know that it was the aliens. This was their first step in the invasion.
Well, I mean, by the time, when does this come out? January?
This is coming out in February.
Is this really?
Yeah, this comes out February 4th. We're shooting this December 12th.
Oh,
so
wow.
A long time before.
Way behind.
Yeah, we're way behind the times.
Yeah.
So you're probably listening to us talk about this, and you're like, those idiots.
And hey, the Chiefs are in the Super Bowl, huh? It's crazy they did it again.
Most likely, yeah.
Crazy.
Actually.
And that last play, huh? You know what I'm saying?
How about them
Wasn't that
refs?
crazy? Oh, and that call at the end? Oh, I know.
Crazy.
I can't believe it either.
Crazy. What do you think it's going to be? Chiefs, Lions, Chiefs, Eagles?
I think it's Chiefs all the way, baby.
Well, who's the other one?
Chiefs. I think that's what's going to happen. I think they get so bored that they're just like, why don't you guys play yourselves, all right?
Why don't you play yourself?
And then the Chiefs are like, okay.
Just play second
And
team.
Carson Wentz wins.
Who would have thought?
That's what's
Wentz
crazy.
Is good?
I don't know, man. Game and wins.
Anyways.
You win some, you lose some, you know?
So the White House is like, oh yeah, this program didn't work.
Right. We
There's
tried to train them, they didn't do it.
Yeah, and a lot of civilians got caught in the crossfire.
Yeah.
And so the White House quietly pulls their troops away, quietly files away that they ever did that, and they were like, we weren't involved in that. And Invisible Children keeps calling and is like, hey, you guys were really close. You can't stop. Like, you got to keep going. And they're like, no, we tried it. It didn't work. And we're not going to do it again.
Yeah, they're like, we never did that.
Yeah. they're like, we don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And they were like, honestly, if you keep talking about that, you're not going to know what you're talking about either.
Did you turn on vanish mode on our phone calls? All right, because I know that you did that.
And also, why is my contact Mariah Carey in your phone?
That's how his tie. He's like, well, listen here. I know you did that.
I know that was you. So for 3 years after the thing, they are still trying to do this because they're like, okay, we were close. We got to get them back. We got to get the U.S. government back over there because they need to finish Kony. And so they put together their documentary, Kony 2012. And so the plan here was, hey, 2012, an election year, a year where everyone's arguing, where there's a lot of division. We need something we can unite over, and that's taking down Joseph Kony. And so they put together a documentary. It was a 30-minute documentary. And this documentary, I watched it last night, and it was a tearjerker. Like, it definitely was like, they are trying, like a lot of these types of documentaries will do, they're trying to pull at your heartstrings, trying to get you to want to do something about this. Questionably, though, Jason and his son are definitely the main characters in this documentary. More so his son, which is a little odd. It opens up on his son's birth, which is a strange way to start a video.
If I live in Uganda, this kid might kill me.
Basically, that's like basically the whole point. There's a scene where his son, who's no older than 6, probably younger than 6, he shows him a picture of Kony. And he's like, you know who this is? And then he tells him, he's like, this man kidnaps kids and he makes them kill their parents. And his kid, a 6-year-old, is looking at him like, oh, so he's a bad guy? And like, why don't the good guys stop him?
He's giving his 6-year-old, hey, look, this guy makes this kid kill his parents. And he goes,
you can do that?
Oh, he wants me to kill my mom? Is this your mom joke? Dad.
And so then he slides him a picture of...
Why is he doing this like a detective?
Yeah, he slides him a picture. I think the kid's name was Jacob, if I remember right. I could be wrong. I don't remember for sure. But this is the first kid that he talked to, Jason did, when he was out there.
Yeah.
And the kid who's like, yeah, I watched my brother die in front of me. And they became like family friends. Like he was the kid they would always visit when they came out there. They flew him out to the States a couple times. Like, so his son knew him and he's like, oh yeah, so this is our friend. And then this guy is hurting our friend and like showing him on the pictures on screen. And so it's this 30-minute documentary film. And the film ends with this call to action, basically of, okay, you can go to this website and you can order your Kony 2012 kit. And in April, this came out March 8th, 2012. And in April, I think it was 420, overnight, everyone's gonna go to bed and we're gonna stay out all night and we're gonna use our kits, which are
the town.
Yeah, are full of these posters.
Yes.
And we're gonna make Kony famous because there's a scene in that documentary where one of the locals says, if Kony was famous in the West, then he would not have the power he has. The West doesn't know about him, and so Kony is able to do everything he does. And so he's like, we're going to make Kony famous is the whole point of the documentary. And so you get your kit, you put on your shirts, and then they're going to go paper the town with these things. You're going to wear your bracelets. You're going to put on you're going to put the stuff on all the buildings and stuff like that. And everyone's going to know who Kony is.
Right.
So they put this out on YouTube, and it's important to remember, this is 2012. This is YouTube before the algorithm. This is YouTube in a very early state of YouTube. A lot of the videos were like word of mouth. You're manually sharing them. Facebook was still like the main platform. And so over the first night, it does pretty well, but not like huge. I think it was like 600,000 views.
Right.
Somehow, that next day...
It was March 5th when it came out. It was on the graphic you just showed.
Yeah, okay, March 5th. So on the next day, somehow Oprah sees it. And so Oprah tweets it and tweets the link to it. And by that evening, it has 9 million views.
Yeah.
By the end of the week, it has 100 million views.
Right.
It is, at that time, the most viral video of all time.
Right.
There was never anything that had done anything anywhere remotely similar to that level of viral.
So it was Oprah.
Yeah, Oprah tweeted it.
Big O, if you see this, we need you to help us get the word out about our podcast.
and that's interesting. I think there's a good point. And so they said in the video that their plan, their strategy, and this was 2012. So this was in 2012, pretty groundbreaking to have this strategy. Nowadays, everyone and their mom would have this strategy, but the strategy was they were going to put together 12. They called them 12 culture makers and 12 policy makers, and they were going to use the influence of those culture makers to influence the policy makers to take action. So the culture makers, here's just a handful of them, just to kind of give you a list of who they were targeting. They actually showed these people in the video. They're like, here's the people we're targeting. And so if you follow them or have any connection to them, share this with them so that way they get the word of them. So Oprah was like number one on the list. And so I believe the way it happened is all of Oprah's fans, some of Oprah's fans saw this and they kept retweeting it and tagging her. And they're like, Oprah, watch this, watch this, watch this. She's like, fine. And so,
which wouldn't work on me, by the way. I need you to know that right now. If anybody if like 100 people suddenly just sent me some video, there's no way I'm going to repost it. Just so you know.
So the list of people that
I don't care if it's a literal video of how to cure cancer, and it's like somehow it got put out on the STEM feed on TikTok. All right, I'm not retweeting that.
Listen to this list of tastemakers: Oprah, Justin Bieber,
obviously 2012.
Taylor
let me guess.
Swift.
Oh, dang. Okay, I was going to say. That's who I was going to guess. I was going to guess Justin Bieber, Taylor Swift, Beyonce.
Beyonce's not on the list, actually, which is kind of surprising.
It's 12 people. So Oprah, Justin Bieber.
It's actually a lot more than 12 people. They said 12, but this is way more than 12. Now that I'm looking at this list, this is like 20. Oh, 20 tastemakers, 12 policymakers.
Got it. Okay, keep going. 2012.
Yeah, that's the plan. And so the other tastemakers on the list, Angelina Jolie, Lady Gaga, Jay-Z, Rihanna, and then here's
Jason
where
Mraz.
Bono's on it.
Yeah.
Here's where the list gets really, really fun. I'm excited about the rest of this list. Tim Tebow.
Oh, man. 2012 was a fever dream. Oh, my gosh.
Warren Buffett.
Yeah,
Bill Gates. Mark Zuckerberg.
Yeah.
I love this group. So they were like, this group of people. Oh, Bill O'Reilly. Rush Limbaugh. Yikes.
Rush Limbaugh, dude.
So they're like, this group
Rush
of people.
Limbaugh gets on the radio with his cigar, right? And he's like, honestly, I don't even think that what Uganda's doing is that bad. We should do it here.
So like,
Take out the killing the parents part. He's raising young men to do good, to have a purpose.
They're like, if we get this group of people to put pressure on this group of people, they put them right next to each other.
What did Rush Limbaugh say about this?
I don't know. Yeah, that's a good question.
I need to look up. My grandma used to leave Rush Limbaugh on the radio.
Yeah.
When she would leave her house. You're not listening to me right now.
I'm listening to you.
Because she would leave the radio on so that if someone broke in, they would hear the voice and think someone was home.
And it was Rush Limbaugh.
And it was
they'd be
Rush
like,
Limbaugh.
Does Rush Limbaugh live
Rush Limbaugh's house?
But yeah, the policymakers that they were targeting were...
Is this guy's grandma dating Rush Limbaugh?
I think my friend's grandma's dating Rush Limbaugh.
I don't know. She's always talking to him in the bedroom.
So the list of policymakers that they had.
Yeah.
George Bush, Bill Clinton, Condoleezza Rice, George W. George W. John Kerry, Mitt Romney. And so they're like, this group of people...
John McCain.
they were like, Rush Limbaugh is going to pressure George W. Bush into taking action, which honestly, could work.
Would have worked.
Angelina Jolie and Justin Bieber are going to make Bill Clinton take action in Uganda, was the plan. And honestly, what they planned to do is what happened. Oprah found out about it, retweeted it. All these celebrities in this list found out about it, and they all started retweeting it.
Well, yeah, because after one of them does it, it's kind of like, well, now
I can't be the guy who doesn't.
Yeah.
I can't be the one who's like, oh, I'm not going to say something about
Angelina
this.
Jolie is like, he got an army of 42 kids? I have 53.
And so this goes mega viral. Everyone's talking about it. A lot of people buy the kits, and a lot of people are like,
a lot of people
take
I knew
action.
bought the kit, yeah.
A lot of people are sharing it online. One of the most... It's ironic you said this earlier, but one of the things you see people say all the time on Facebook when they're tagging this, they're like, it's pretty long, but if you've got the time to watch this video, you should. And honestly, after watching this video yesterday, it's so clear why this worked so well in 2012. Like, this is everything 2012 was. The songs are Mumford and Sons, Mumford and Sons, and then like the bokeh effects and like the transitions, everything is just so 2012 coded the whole time. Like this clearly crushed then. Like they knew exactly what they were doing and how to do it really well, and it obviously worked very, very well. So this blows up, and he all of a sudden is getting every major network is like, we want to interview you. We want to talk to you. And so he's getting pressed toward all over the place. He's flying between New York and LA 3 times a day. Like just boom, 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 taking the red eye, going back. I'm not exaggerating. I know you got that wink, but he genuinely is. He'll do an interview in LA in the morning.
Day, huh?
He'll do an interview in LA in the morning, go do one in New York, flies back over the red eye, does another one. So I mean, I guess in that second trip, he's ending up overnight.
I was like, I don't think you know how much time it takes to get to LA, dude.
So, but he's not sleeping. The point is, he's never sleeping. He's just shimmying back and forth between places and doing these interviews. And at first,
I am happy to be here on Nick at Night.
Rush Limbaugh.
Yeah, you don't have to video that as radio. He'd be like, "Hi, Rush.
I'm planning on keeping my eyes closed for this. Is that okay?
Is that all right if I just close my eyes?
Is it cool if I sleep for this interview?
How do we make this a conspiracy theory?"
And so Alex Jones actually does talk about it on his podcast.
Wow, because he wanted in on it.
Yeah,
he was so
had to
mad
be
that he
on
wasn't
it.
mentioned as one of the
exactly. He's like,
tastemakers.
why am I not a tastemaker?
You were 21 on the list, Alex.
Yeah, you were so close. So
You were
close.
so close.
And so he's doing this press tour for 4 or 5 days. And then all of a sudden, the press pendulum's back against him. And so
Yeah.
it changes from like, oh my gosh, we got to stop Kony to, wait a second.
Why are you capitalizing on this?
Well, what happens is they show this documentary in Uganda. And at the showing of it, there's press there filming them. They're like, look what we're doing. Like the press flew out. They showed the documentary. They're like, look what we're doing in Uganda. And all these people came to watch it. And the people watching it like turned into a mob and they started throwing rocks at the screen. And they were like, this is not accurate at all. And so then like the press started interviewing them and they're like, Kony's been gone for 6 years. Like he's not even in Uganda anymore. He's in the next country over. We pushed him out. And they were like, this is acting like stuff is happening here that's not happening here. It was a long time ago, and it's probably happening in this other country he's at now, but it's not happening here. And they're acting like stuff is happening that's not true. And also, who are you to get involved? Like, this is our country. Like, what do you think is going on here?
Yeah.
And so people see this, and then this is, and I don't know for sure, but I have seen some commentators talk about this, and they think that this is the moment when the white savior complex got defined.
Yes.
Because
when you look at those earlier pictures, there's like the one where he's standing in the, you know exactly which one I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
It was, as soon as you pulled
This
that
one.
up, yep. I was
Yeah.
like, that is the white savior photo.
And I mean, if you watch the video, the whole video, like,
And like, honestly, if you go far enough back on some of our social media, you could
probably find it. I mean,
you could see we were super involved in evangelical culture.
This is
like we went on missions trips and used kids as props.
yeah. And that
wasn't the intention in our brain for sure.
Yeah,
but that's what we were doing.
people would do. Yeah, and if you watch the documentary too, the documentary is definitely. I mean, they tell the story, and I think that they were earnest. I think that they genuinely cared, and I think they genuinely wanted to stop Kony, and they genuinely cared about the kids. But if you watched the documentary, it very much felt like we're gonna do it.
Right.
Like, there's moments where they actually say like, oh, what if we die on this trip? And they're like, well, at least this is what I'm remembered for. It's not about like the cause that you're doing. It's like, this is my memory. And so it's like, you're going on this conquest and trying to do this thing. And it's very, very much about them in the documentary. I don't think that's their intention, but that's what happened. And so people start taking issue with that, and it kind of blows up in their face. And so now he's still in this press tour. So he's already still committed to all of these interviews. And so he's still flying back between New York and LA doing all these interviews. But now the interviews are different. All of a sudden they change from what you're doing is so great. Tell us how we can get involved. Tell us how you can be a part of this to Why do you think you should be involved? Tell us about the finances of your nonprofit. How much is going to your travel? How much is going to your salaries and stuff like this? They dug up an old video of one of their co-founders making a joke. This is a joke. And he came out saying it was a joke. And honestly, if you watch the video, it's very clear it's a joke. But it's on camera of him. They won an award for one of their early documentaries. And that award came with $1 million donation to their charity.
He's like, thank you for the $1 million.
And in that video, he's got his glasses on and they're tilted really awkward. And he's got a bottle of vodka. And he's like, I don't know if you know this. And he's like, but we just won $1 million. And he's like, 90,000 of that will cover everything that we need to do. The rest of it, I think you know what I'm going to do with it. And it's like, shouldn't have put that on video, bro. Like,
why did you just sound like the kid from Wild Thornberries? Shouldn't have put that on video, bro. Shouldn't have put that on video, bro. Hey, thanks for checking out this episode. Wanted to let you know real quick, we have an email list, and it's not like a, hey, we're going to send you our merch and new episodes all the time. We actually give you updates on these stories as we find out about them. So a lot of our episodes we've done a couple years ago now have updates, or the person the topic was about passed away or was caught by the police, or whatever updates we can find on episodes that we've done. We want to let you know about it so that our episodes just aren't, out there out of date. It's a really fun way to keep learning new information. And then every once in a while, we let you know about new events coming up or new episodes. And it's just a way to help us keep spreading this show. To join that email list, you can text Tillin to 66866, or there's a link in the description of this episode, or you can just go to tillin.com. It's very easy to join this email list. It's everywhere. It's actually really hard to not join it. So...
yeah, it was poor taste. And so they dug up that video. They're showing that video everywhere.
They're like, hey, you're on No Sleep. He's like, hey, thanks for having me on the news. And they're like, great, here's a video.
Well, what do you think about that?
Oh,
I didn't know he did that.
I would love for that to be invisible.
Can we make that invisible? Can we please tell George Bush to take that video away?
That is a doctored video. And if you look at it closer, the shadows don't line up.
Yeah.
And there are rats.
Yeah. Yep.
In the video.
Yep.
So
there's rats in the video. And
further proof, Tim just doesn't listen when I talk. I was like, there's rats in the video. He goes, yep. There's rats in the video.
Processes slowly. And here's the thing. This is... Today, I'm going to be honest with you, looking back on these interviews, this was bad. But
how
every
old is
interview,
he at this point?
He's got to be mid-30s.
Yeah.
Because
not much older than we are.
This is him at the time. This is when Kony 12
not much older than we are.
But here's the deal. He was from San Diego. He's got a San Diego accent. You know what that sounds like.
Yeah.
You go back through his profile, he dresses like this. He had this kind of hair. He was a theater kid, so he's very animated the way he talks. And so there are multiple interviews where point blank, the people interviewing, including Oprah, were like, there's rumors that you're gay. Are you gay? In the interview on TV. And so that became, in 2012, kind of a scandal about it, which is pretty crazy when you think about it, because that's not that long ago. But it was like enough to start to discredit. And he's like, no. He's like, I've heard the rumors. That's not true. He's like, my parents owned a children's theater troupe. I was a theater kid. I'm a little animated. I like to dye my hair blonde. I'm from San Diego.
Yeah.
But it became a scandal. It became, and so there was all these different things that were becoming fairly big issues for invisible children.
This is why you never try to make a change in the world.
Kinda. And so it all culminates in a moment where he's been doing this for about 3 weeks, taking red-eye flights back and forth between LA and New York. About halfway through that, they turned and they started turning on him, and the public started turning on him. Facebook is turning on him, and he's having to defend himself in a public forum that he's never really been in. He is 100 million views at that time The whole world knows.
Yeah, everyone's seen
like,
this.
It's not, this is not like 100 million views now. This is a different time. And so he can't go out in public. People are harassing him in public. And so the organization decides, hey, you're going to take a staycation. You're going to stay home. You're not going to go anywhere. You're going to be in your house for a week. You're going to rest. You're going to spend time with your family. So you can come back healthy and ready to continue working on this, because right now that you can't keep doing what you're doing right now. So he goes on the staycation, and a couple days into the staycation, him and his son and his wife, and I think his parents were there, and they were watching the Lorax. And he recounts that while they're watching the Lorax in the middle of the movie, if you don't know what the Lorax is about, the Lorax, there's a corporation that's tearing down all the trees, and he's fighting back against this evil corporation. And in the middle of that movie, he recounts a moment where Danny DeVito turns from the screen and addresses him directly and says, hey, you need to stop Joseph Kony. You can't, you're sitting around, you're waiting here. You need to go finish what you started. And so he has a psychotic break is what this is. And he stands up in the middle of this movie with his family at home, takes all of his clothes off, runs outside, and is running around outside his house, screaming profanities, slapping the pavement, butt naked. And someone captures a video of this, and they sell it to TMZ for $30,000. And TMZ puts it out, and now it's a giant scandal.
Oh, wow.
And so the police come, they don't arrest him or anything. They take him to a hospital.
Did not know this part?
Yeah. Isn't that crazy? So they check him in a hospital.
Danny DeVito, just to be clear, in the middle of the Lorax movie, Danny DeVito goes,
Jason.
you need to stop Joseph Kony.
Yeah. I mean, he doesn't actually do that. It was just in Jason's brain, but that's what Jason remembers. And then Jason was like, you're right. Let me take off all my clothes and go outside. And that's what happens. The police pick him up. They check him into a hospital. And it's a bad experience in the hospital. He thinks the nurses are trying to kill him.
Stopping me from stopping Kony.
Yeah, and so it's a bad experience in the hospital. He thinks the nurses are trying to kill him. He's like wrestling everyone in the hospital. It's a very he's there for weeks, and it's a very intense thing. Yeah, a full breakdown.
Wow.
This hits the press. It gets really nasty. They start making up a bunch of stuff about what he was doing outside. I think you could probably start to assume the fact that he's naked, and with the scandals that they already had about him, why he was doing that, and the motivations and stuff like that. So it became a giant thing. And so this is all before that date where they were supposed to paint the towns. And so then he is in the mental hospital when the date rolls around, and all these places all over the world had forums and signups where you could sign up to be part of your local group that was going to do it. And they all had like 60,000, 100,000, 50,000 people who were supposed to show up and put up these signs and stuff like this. Tons of people bought them, but the majority of them had fractions of what signed up, because now it's become kind of a thing.
I remember that. So I remember, and this is funny because we were on it was state finals for our theater stuff that we were doing that weekend. Yeah. And so we were in Columbia, Missouri, which is a college town. Yeah. And there was a couple people in our theater group who were very passionate about this. Yeah. But I don't remember us even talking about, hey, this guy's having a breakdown. Yeah. Yeah. You know?
Yeah. I don't think a lot of people knew about it.
I mean, and that's like the effects of social media and the internet. Yeah. Is like, even if we assume his motivations are pure. Yeah. Let's just assume for a second. Let's pretend, let's just go for a second that his motivations were 100% clean and pure. Yeah. The internet does what the internet does. Yep. And that's crazy.
Yeah. I think it was a TED Talk. It's a speech online. I think it was a TED Talk, but where he kind of recounts the whole story. And then he talks about it. And he says, I'm not exaggerating when I say I was getting 10 texts a minute of and that was when Twitter would text you. And so of just people just like berating him. Yes. And like calling his family into question, calling his motivations into question.
Well, I remember, so like earlier this year, the beginning of this year is when we put up that cat ramp on our back porch.
Yeah.
Right. And so we posted that video. That video got 150 million views, which is just different from 100 million views back then. Right. But it's still a lot of views.
It's still a lot. Yeah.
And the amount of comments that we got about how we're torturing our cat and we're terrible people for why are you torturing this animal by keeping it locked in your house, all this stuff.
Yeah.
And I remember a moment, probably 2 weeks after the video had been circulating where I was in the kitchen with Ray and we were just kind of like a little like in each other's way or whatever. And I said, hey, you been reading the comment section on that video?
Yeah.
And she was like, yeah, because I would hear it playing in the other room. I would hear the beginning of that video. And it was just like hey, just us reading those comments has made it really tense in this house.
Yeah.
And like we're just getting edgy with each other.
Yeah.
And so I think we just need to not
stop reading those.
Because obviously we care about our pets. We care about our animals. We're not bad.
That's why
pet
you
parents.
did it.
We're not, But like we're reading thousands of comments.
Yeah.
And that was just over like literally
something pretty dumb.
Literally nothing. It's literally nothing.
Yeah.
We're not trying to stop a warmonger guy in Uganda.
Yeah.
So I can't imagine the hate from Missouri that guy got.
For real though. Obviously it got really bad.
That's what the internet does.
This full-on breakdown.
And it's just bombarding you. Oh yeah.
And they were questions
I can see how
of
that
like
overwhelms somebody for sure.
They were questions of like the financial motivations, questions of his sexuality, questions of like the white savior complex things.
Bit
like
of it.
You couldn't
nitpicked apart.
Yeah, every single part of him was getting thrown away. And like that's what's crazy is like at this point, they had been doing this for like 10 years.
Yeah.
And so it's like he's committed a great portion of his life to trying to solve this problem. And it's totally blowing up in his face.
And then to have it's 3 weeks, it's just all unraveling.
Yes. Yeah. And so he's in the hospital when this overnight thing happens, and a fraction of everyone who said they were going to show up shows up. But a bunch of people do show up and they start putting these signs up. On the other hand, a bunch of people show up and they saw it as an opportunity to just vandalize. And so a bunch of people went out with spray paint and actual paint and started writing Kony 2012 on stuff and breaking things. And it turned into like this mass vandalism event more than it was like a put the poster up. It was I'm going to spray paint something because I can. And so that event was even more of a scandal. And all of that kind of culminated in a moment where everyone was almost ashamed to have been involved in it. Because it brought a lot of awareness. It did make Kony famous, but at the end of the day, the government was like, we're still not sending any troops out there.
Yeah.
We're not going to do anything about that. And it kind of crippled. There's an irony to it. Invisible Children got like kind of crippled in scandal.
Yeah.
But they did bring in $27 million in donations.
Right.
So they were able to make a lot more documentaries because it's really all they were doing.
Right.
They pivoted after this. They had Jason step down. And so Jason stepped down. Invisible Children pivoted to doing some more grassroots stuff. And so they built a radio network at the front lines of the war.
Right.
The radio network was basically a first alert system where it's like, hey, he's on the move over here, hide your children and get away from what's happening here. They set up a training system for some of their soldiers and all this different stuff. So they started doing like some more actual like on the ground grassroots things.
Right.
But at the end of the day, Kony is still out there today. Like he's still alive today.
Oh.
And he's still operating. So in terms of like,
how many people does he have in his army
famous.
right now?
I don't know where right now. I don't know where estimates are right now. They think he's in Sudan right now, but they don't know for sure. He's been kind of on the run ever since 2012.
Right.
Because now he's famous and now a bunch of people, I shouldn't say a bunch of people. There have been some events where like mercenary types have gone out and tried to track him down, like lone wolf style. But there hasn't been a government that has latched onto this to respond. Two more really interesting things that have happened out of this. One, the International Criminal Court was established, I believe, in the 90s. Joseph Kony was the first person on their list that they wanted to get for crimes against humanity. The lead prosecutor over the whole criminal court thing, the International Criminal Court, he put together a plan on how he was going to get him. And his plan And this is a plan that wasn't just like I have this idea.
He's going to put a kid with a rope around his waist, and then he's going to have 2 adults standing next to him, and that kid's just going to be like, I love you, Mom and Dad. And then as soon as Kony pops his little head out of the woods, he's going to yank the kid back, and they're going to get him.
Kind of close, honestly, in terms of like strategy. This, and I should be clear, this wasn't like an idea he had. This was something he fleshed out. This was something he planned. He had conversations with all of the individuals involved.
Train these children.
Yeah.
That when they got took, they were going to kill Kony.
Close. It's not close at all. So what he was going to do is he was going to work with Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt. And Angelina Jolie was going to slide into Joseph Kony's DMs and say, hey, Brad and I would love to get dinner with you. And I'm dead serious. Brad and I would love to get dinner with you. We're flying out tomorrow. And so they would fly out and they would be bait for Kony. And so Kony would get dinner with Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie. And then the International Criminal Court would come in through the back door and arrest him.
So they have to have dinner with the guy?
Yeah. And this was a thing that Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt flew across the ocean.
Agreed to.
And met with this guy and were a part of this plan. And after this all came out.
Wait, they met with him?
They met with him. And Angelina Jolie, in an interview on the red carpet, when this came out, she was like,
it was kind of cool.
She was like, I would love to be used as bait to get Kony. She said that. She said that on a red carpet interview when it came out, that was the plan. And when that fell apart and they realized that wasn't going to work, the second plan that he came up with was using George Clooney.
But wait, they went through with it though. They did have dinner with Kony?
They didn't have dinner. They flew over and they had dinner with the International Criminal Court to plan this.
That's where I was like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, so they didn't actually have the dinner yet. They didn't have
I thought you were like, yeah, they had dinner with Kony, and then like something fell apart, like the back door was like
back door was locked.
And like they're like, and then like and they kept stalling too.
They were at dinner.
Like Brad was like, I guess we'll get dessert again.
They were at dinner and Brad texted him and he said, abort, abort, abort. This guy's really cool. We
like him a lot. We actually love this dude.
Really like this guy.
That's why they divorced, bro. Is because Brad Pitt fell in love with Joseph Kony. Did you know that?
I bet you didn't know that.
Brad Pitt left Angelina Jolie for Joseph Kony. Put that on the news. Not enough people talk about that.
Not enough people know that. But yeah, when that fell apart,
he was like, this guy's kind of hot. I
did it. The International.
This guy's kind of hot, dude.
When that didn't work, the International Criminal Court basically
it's not. I'm not in love with Joseph Kony. I don't want to make it seem like that. I'm not in love with Joseph Kony.
Not a fan.
I'm in love with one of the personalities that resides inside Joseph Kony. She's pretty cool.
It's the prophet.
The prophet lives forever. The prophet will never die.
No, but when that didn't work out, the International Criminal Court came up with a second plan. The second plan was George Clooney. I guess George Clooney built a satellite in the early 2010s.
Okay.
And was like letting other governments use it to spy on nations. And this is a real thing. And so
then their third plan was Matt Damon. They were just going to go through the Ocean's 11 cast.
They were like, which one will do it? But George Clooney said his satellite wasn't powerful enough for that, which is interesting.
Which is a lie.
Yeah.
That's what you say when you don't want to go.
Yeah.
That's why when someone was like, hey, you want to come to my Christmas party? And I'm like, yeah, what's your address? And I'm like, oh, it's this. And I go, oh, I'll look it up on maps.
Yeah.
And then I go, sorry.
My maps can't find it.
My satellite's not strong enough.
I didn't pay for premium satellite. I don't have satellite premium.
Are we still recording right now?
We are.
How much more time we got?
I'm trying to get through everything. Why do you keep asking?
Sorry. Ring, 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 ring. Sorry, I
gotta take this.
Hello? Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I hate this guy. This guy stinks. Come back. Get back over here. No, I know you're on the phone. It doesn't come back. He's over here going, God, just keep doing the thing. He doesn't, there's no phone. I want to be clear that when I do this, I'm not saying, he's got his hand like this. I don't know what he's doing. And he's going like this. He's pretending. Oh my gosh. And come back over here.
I mean, I've got State Farm, but I'm willing to switch if you guys want. All right. Yeah. Okay. All right. Cool.
You're the worst
Well,
person I know.
I hope I never forget you.
I hope I never forget you to the Allstate salesman. It's a crazy way to hang up. No, so
I just. Sorry.
a guy whose name rhymes with Harley Meanstein reached out.
Kanye West.
And he's like, hey, I'd like to change the rules.
Harvey Weinstein reached out to him?
Yeah, reached out to Jason.
Kony?
No, to Jason.
Oh.
When this like first came out. And
He
he's
reached
like,
out and was like, hey.
What's the award show for movies? Oscars?
The
Tonys. No, Tonys
the
is
Oscars.
Oscars?
Golden yes,
Globes?
Oscars.
I always mix them up.
Oscars.
He's like, hey, I'm going to change the rules for Oscars so that way you guys qualify this year. Because he was so moved
Yes,
by
the
it.
Oscars are the movies. The Golden Globes are TV. Tony is Broadway musicals. And then an Emmy is
TV? News. Emmys are news, right?
Golden Globes.
I don't know.
Oh, shoot. I'm all mixed up right now.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you.
Emmy, Golden Globes. Emmy, go ahead.
So they're basically whatever he had control over. He's like, we're changing the rules so that way you can get one of them this year for your play,
Sure.
for your video, for your YouTube video.
He's like, and then once you turn it into a Broadway musical, you can get the Tony. And eventually, I promise you, Jason, I know you had a mental breakdown. You got naked in your front yard. And also, pull that picture back up of him naked in his front yard again.
Yeah, hold on.
This is a pretty nice house. So we know that you already are financially set for life because of this, man. But we're going to make sure you get an EGOT.
An EGOT? Oh, where you
which
get
we
one
get
of
Emmy,
each of them.
Golden Globe,
Yeah.
Oscar, and a Tony.
Oscar. Did we say Oscar?
Yep.
What's the music one?
I that's what I was trying to figure out. I think that might be Golden Globe.
No, it's
No?
not. Grammy.
Grammy.
Grammy's
That's
the
what
music
I'm
one.
thinking. We keep saying Golden Globes. We're stupid.
Yeah, Golden Globes are for
Grammys.
the olds.
Grammy. That's what I was thinking of.
Yeah.
That's why I was like, when we got to Emmy, I was like, no, the music one is a Grammy.
Yeah, interesting. But yeah, so
It doesn't make sense because the Grammy should be for the olds. That's what I call my grandma.
they should think about
Emmy
switching that.
should be music. That's what I call Eminem.
Yeah. So the
Ring, ring.
today. Oh no!
Sorry. No, I'm busy.
Hey, I'm not done yet. This is another important thing that we need to cover. We've been doing this for a long time, and we need to hurry up and wrap
Did
this up.
Germany invade France in what year? All right, that's wrong.
Did you just get a call from you in the past in our episode where we were doing the
Ring, ring. Hello. Oh, they hung up.
Okay.
Probably a phone salesman.
Oh, yeah, salesman. Yeah, trying to sell me a phone. Didn't realize I had a phone when he called.
Hold on, someone's calling me. Ring, ring.
Hate this bit so much. This is the worst.
It's so hard to do the code because the
I
numbers
can't
moved
do
around.
and my pinky's in the way on this phone also. I hate you.
Finish the episode.
Okay, I'm trying. You just keep doing whatever this phone bit is.
When I do bits, you got to push through.
I'm trying.
I'm trying.
Okay. So
Ring, ring. Keep go.
you do you know the
Wrap up the show, dude. I'm just tired of being here. I'm healthier against my will.
Okay. Does the name Prigozhin?
Here's the good thing about this.
Yevgeny Viktorovich
Prigozhin?
Prigozhin? Yeah. Does that name mean anything to you?
Yes, but I don't remember why.
So that you might remember him. He was the military leader of the Wagner Group, which was like
Yes.
or I guess Wagner Group is what they say.
Yes, because then they just did the whole yes.
Yeah, they just
In
attempted
Russia.
to do a coup to overthrow the Russian government, and that got put down, and he was put to death because of it.
Well, died in a plane crash, but yeah.
They were
This
they're like
is
a contract military group.
yes.
That the
Mercenary group.
Russian I guess I should just say the Kremlin was like, hey, we're gonna let you kind of like Apple, where Apple was like, hey, we're gonna put the two teams against each other, and whichever one does better is gonna get to release their product.
And then when everyone loses, we're going to kill in a plane crash.
Yeah, and that's what the Wagner Group got to be with the Russian military
Right.
in Ukraine. they didn't like the decisions that the Kremlin was making, so they
Right.
tried to overthrow Putin last year.
Yes.
And it ended in him dying in a plane crash. And then, obviously, that group was expelled from the war. And so they're like, what are we going to do now? And they decided they're going to go get Kony. So now that group is in South Sudan trying to find Kony. And so they're running through the jungle, chasing him down. So they might, so far out of anyone who's tried, they're the most organized group who's gone in there with like actual military force to try to stop him. So there's a chance that they might actually succeed at catching Kony all these years later, 12 years after Kony 2012. So pretty soon we might be saying Kony 2024, and because that's the year he died. If it happens in the next couple days.
Yeah, I was going to say this episode comes out in 2025, so
We might be saying Kony 2025 as year of death. Unless
we might be
unless
saying
they get
2025. That's what you just said. Play it back.
We might be saying Kony 2025. 2025. That's what I said.
No, you said 2025.
2025.
Kony 2025. Here's the good thing about all this.
Yeah.
Is that time, the internet, like, will always have a main character.
Yeah.
There's always a main character of the day on the internet.
Yeah.
And some people will really stretch that 15 minutes out, really kind of make their whole thing or whatever. But you will always be forgotten. Always, always, always be forgotten. So if you're ever the target of some cyberbullying or you have a weird interaction online and you're like, oh, I feel really weird about that, and this person probably thinks about it, they don't. We literally, like Jason, what was his last name? Exactly. We don't remember it. He ran naked in his front yard and was on TMZ.
Yeah.
And so that's what I'm saying is that like the time will weather that out.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm just saying that before my video gets leaked by TMZ. I'm letting you know that just give me 10 years. I'll be back doing a podcast. All right.
Yep. But yeah, that's you're absolutely right. I mean, I shouldn't say turned his life around. Like he had his incident. But since then, like he obviously left his role in Invisible Children, but he's just kind of moved on. I think he works in like marketing now, which I think is probably going pretty well. Like he clearly knows a lot about marketing.
Right.
And I think
he's like, I worked with the Kony 2012 team, and they're like, really? That was a whole disaster. The founder of that company? He's like, yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah, it was wild. It was
I had
a lot.
to shoot that guy in his back porch. I had to put him down. Yeah, I mean, of course he's working in marketing, and he's like, yeah, I worked on the Kony 2012 team, and I got rid of the guy. And they're like, yeah, you kind of look like him. No, that's rude that you would say that.
That's pretty rude. Because that guy's pretty ugly.
I hated him.
That guy didn't have a beard. Look at my beard.
Yeah,
I look like the existing boyfriend in a Hallmark movie.
In a Hallmark movie that's like, this is the face he made too when he realizes that his girlfriend just left him for that business guy that comes from out of town. He's like, Anyway,
I thought we were in love.
And then, because it's a Hallmark movie, there's the Carol the Bells, and there's people singing songs, and there's the fiddle off and all that.
There you go.
So
there you go.
Good.
Hey, if you like this episode, you might like this man. It's an episode we did, honestly, a couple years ago at this point, about a guy that was known as this man who showed up in everybody's dreams. A really big viral moment. Very interesting story. Pretty wild. But if you really loved this episode and you want next week's episode right now, you can become a member. Our members get access to every episode ad-free a week before they're released, and a lot of other perks. They get access to a private Discord, group chats with our hosts and our producers, all these really fun things. And those are available at tillin.com/support. This podcast is a podcast of the Evergreen Podcast Network. You can find out more about their shows at evergreenpodcast.com. But again, thanks for watching this episode. We'll see you next week for another episode of Things I Learned Last Night.